Attention deficit. Now, this is Scott Conway, PhD, JD with mothersraisingsons.com, talking about attention deficit. Now, I'll just use it as attention deficit. First off, attention deficit sometimes isn't an inability to pay attention, it's an overabundance of attention. That so many things pull your attention, it's hard to stay at one thing. Now, a lot of times, this is honestly as a result of training. So here is an experiment. If the average child grows up watching the average amount of television, and these days we're not even talking about, streaming, and so my kids, for instance, they have Netflix on a day off from school during the summer, it might not be too surprising to find out that one of them on any given day might have spent several hours watching program after program after program. Now, I don't know in how many households that's a regular thing, but it does happen from time to time with my kids, especially if my wife and I are both working. One of the things that we do to keep an eye on what we're training the brain to do, think about it, if you're going to train a brain to only be able to pay attention for a few seconds or a few minutes at a time, one of the things you want to do is keep teaching the brain to change channels again and again and again. Now, in these days of, say, streaming Netflix, you might watch the exact same series, program after program after program, so it might seem like, well, no, they're staying on sort of one channel. But this is what I would like you to do, just as an experiment, to go take a look to see what is being trained into the brain. Watch any given television program, any given movie. Now, when you see a particular scene, start counting the seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. What you're looking for is how long does it take before the camera switches angles. Now, back in, say, the 1940s, if you were watching a movie, there might be one camera, there'd be two people talking, and it would show the two people having this conversation back and forth, and from time to time it would show a close-up of a face there and a close-up of a face there. In these days, it seems much more common that in any conversation, it'll just go from face to face to face to face to face, and so if you're counting the seconds, you might not even get 1 or 2 seconds during the average conversation. So just take a look and see, every time that camera changes angle, how long does that take? When you're watching any given scene, how many seconds does it stay on one scene before it shifts? And what I think you're probably going to find is probably more than 4 out of 5 times it's going to switch in under 5 seconds. Depending on the program, you may find 4 out of 5 times it shifts in under 3 seconds. I did have one person actually do a test, and there was an opening credit where it didn't change, but it had this constant pan, and that lasted about 20 seconds, and then they watched 20 minutes into the movie, and they only found a handful, less than 5, where a scene lasted more than 5 seconds in 20 minutes of a movie. And so if you watch television, you see what kind of programs your children are watching, count the seconds. And what that's doing is it's teaching the brain. Your focus stays here for this number of seconds, and it changes. Your focus stays here for this number of seconds, then it changes. Your focus stays here for just a certain number of seconds, and then it changes. And then after that, you're going to try to teach a kid's brain how to pay attention. And then in school, to how to pay attention for sometimes hours at a time. Sometimes 15 or 20 or 50 minutes without a break. And over the course of an entire school day, you can see what a challenge that could be if the training and conditioning goes one way and then the expectations go another way. There's just one thing to take a look at, and I'm not telling you, don't let your children watch television. Obviously, we let our children watch television. But being aware of that, even just the awareness, because our kids are older, helps them understand that this isn't reality. But an awareness of that for parents just lets you know, just limit the amount of television that they watch. In our case, we do have Netflix, and so they can stream their video, but we don't have cable. So they can't be watching television programs as it comes on during the week. And it gives us an opportunity to monitor what they watch, because of course it shows up in our recently watched, so we know what it is that they're watching, and that we can monitor things accordingly. So you don't have to ban your children from television, although I am very supportive of parents that do that. But to look and see what it's training the brain to do, and when you begin to see what it's training the brain to do, then you begin to see, oh, well, maybe we need to counterbalance that. So limit this, let's get that scaled down a little bit, and maybe do more of something else that will train and condition the brain in a slightly different way. So this is Scott Conway of Mothers Raising Sons talking about attention deficit. This in the next several lessons, and this one about television. In a simple test, watch a television program that your kid watches and count the number of seconds before there's a camera change. We'll see you back here for the next lesson.